Ars is without a doubt one of the coolest mods that you can get into in ATM 10. And the biggest shame is that it's realistically not actually used for that much. Because of this, in order to finish the pack, you don't actually have to get too far into it, which is why there's a lot of things that I have just recently learned that Ars can do that are incredibly cool. What I'm going to do in this video is really quickly go over some very simple ways that you can get source and then jump right into the 5 secret things that Ars can do that you may not have known about in the past. Now, if you've played ATM 10 extensively, you may know about all of these already, but I'm hoping there's at least a couple in here that might surprise you, or at bare minimum, I show you a couple extra uses for some of the things in Ars. Hopefully you enjoy the video. Let's get right into it. The first easy way to get any sort of source is if you have something like this, where you have a mob farm running. You can see all the mobs are coming in right there. They're landing on the mob masher, and all of this is set up already. What you can do, throw a source jar down, and a Vitalic source link, and it will gather source based off of the mobs dying in there and put it into the source jar. Option number 2 is a Volcanic source link. This is incredibly easy to set up. You make the Volcanic source link, you have an arcane pedestal, and then you have some sort of an export bus from your ME system constantly pushing out lava buckets. And if you were to throw a crafting card in here too, it would continue to craft lava buckets, or you can use something like an ME requester to keep this thing full. It will constantly use the lava and fill up whatever source jars you have next to it. Final option, the option I use the most, is the Agronomic source links. These guys will gather source based off of your crops growing and put it into any source jars nearby. There are a lot of other ways to get source, but those 3 are the easiest. All right, let's get right into it. Tip number 1 is using this tablet of locate structure, some deep slate bricks, and a ritual brazier in order to help you find the ancient city easier. Now, the reason this matters is because in ATM 10, they nerfed the explorer's compass so that you can only use it once you have all of these echo shards and all these netherite ingots. So it's really expensive, especially in the echo shard realm, because you basically have to go to the ancient city in order to get all of those in the first place. So it's sort of putting the cart before the horse, which is why this ARS tablet is so powerful. If you're in the overworld, set the ritual brazier down, right-click it with a tablet of locate structure, and then throw some deep slate bricks onto it, just like that. Next up, right-click it. It'll say it's running, and it will give you a compass back. Now, this compass is going to point directly to the ancient city and is actually the only difficult part of crafting the tablet of locate structure. All you're looking for here is a compass, a single source gem, a wayfinder, and a vexing archwood log. This wayfinder is just an amethyst shard with 4 gold ingots, and it is what you actually get back. Now, you'll see it's pointing in the direction of the ancient city. However, if you were to hit E and hover it, it also tells you the amount of blocks away you are. So you're currently 2,105 blocks away, and the only thing that's important to remember about that is it also includes vertical blocks. So realistically, you're trying to get to about 100 blocks away, and then you're going to dig straight down. And you'll notice this, it'll start spinning. I just wanted to clarify that in cardinal directions, you're probably closer to about 1,900 blocks away. All right, that was tip number 1. Tip number 2 is portals. ARS portals are absolutely insane and are incredibly useful. How they work is you set up a portal frame of realistically any size you want. You can make this however big or however small you want, and you have to build it out of source stone. So the source stone, also not super hard to get. Basically, you're looking at crafting any normal type of stone with a source gem, and that'll give you 8. Then what you're going to do is you're going to take a warp scroll. Warp scrolls are made by combining some blank parchment with some lapis and some more source gems. You're going to come fly over to wherever you want this to teleport you to. So in this case, we could have it teleport us to our assembler matrix. We shift right click it. It'll record the location. Then we fly back over to our source stone portal frame that we've made. And we're going to want to make sure we have some source next to it. So make sure you collect some source in a jar and put it close by, and then throw this through the portal frame. You'll notice it'll steal some of the source, and then I'm not sure why the UI is bugging out, but there is a portal there. There it is. Okay, we turned off shaders, and now you can see it. Basically, it makes a portal in there. If you jump through it, teleports you to exactly where you were standing when you shift right clicked the warp scroll. So the normal warp scroll works like that. The stabilized warp scroll can actually go through dimensions. So if I were to want this warp scroll to take me all the way to the top of this gigantic, absurd mystical ag farm, shift right click, it'll record my location, slash back, and go ahead and break the one that's there, and we'll throw the stabilized warp scroll through it. You'll see it'll take a little bit of source and create that warp portal, but it'll TP you back to exactly where you were. Now, being able to teleport like that has a lot of advantages to you as a player. It means you can get around your base quicker, you can create teleports Very similar to that, to the deep dark, to the ends, to other locations like that. In addition to that, it can also help with mob farms. And that is because this warp portal not only works up and down, but it also works laid out on its side. So what this means is if you were to create like a patch, a dreadful dirt in here, then you were to keep your source next to it, and you were to set the warp scroll to teleport all of the mobs from that dreadful dirt into, say for instance, your mob farm, just like this, fly right on down into here, shift right click in the air here, and it'll record that location for the mobs. Then, if you were to fly back over to your portal frame that you're creating, throw the warp scroll in here, that portal will now teleport anything that spawns here into your mob masher. So this means that you can create different sets of mobs that are spawning based on the biome that you're in using that dreadful dirt. You can create portals like this and just have them all linked to the same location, so that all of your mobs are spawned and killed in the same mob farm that you already have set up. This was one of the newest things I learned and incredibly handy, especially in all the months 10 to the sky. All right, now for tip number 3, I'm gonna let Cryptex tell you about how to keep your world constantly in day and clear weather.
Hey everybody, it's Cryptex Plays here to show off my Ars Nouveau ritual, automatic, always day, and always clear setup that I have right here behind me. So let's go ahead and jump right into this. In all the mods 10, we do have access to easy villagers, which using an arcane core as the job block, it turns the villager into a shady wizard. They have the chance to have the Tablet of Sunrise and the Tablet of Cloud Shaping as an item that they sell. So I have this fully set up to where it pushes emeralds into the auto traders, which then automatically purchases these tablets of Sunrise and Cloud Shaping, so that I'll always have these in stock. If you don't have access to easy villagers, that's okay, because you could craft these tablets. For the Tablet of Sunrise, it's just going to be a blazing archwood log and a sunflower, or 3 dandelions and a clock. Now for the Tablet of Cloud Shaping, you can craft this using cascading archwood log, a feather, and a source gem block. Again, if you have easy villagers, I highly recommend setting this up. If you do not, it's okay. You could still have these tablets on autocraft. You just have to have the items for it. What I have is the Ars Nouveau Ritual Brazier, the modular router, which sends the tablet to the ritual, activates it, and then I have the integrated dynamic set up to where it reads the data of the world. So this will determine if it's day or night. It will send a redstone signal. So I'm going to go ahead and show you how to set this up. And we're going to start off with the Ritual Brazier and the modular router. So we're going to need a polar module Mark II and 2 activator modules for the modular router. And then I place the Ritual Brazier right on top of the modular router. I just feel it makes it a little bit easier to have set up. So there we go. Now for the polar module, what you're going to want to do is you want to come over here and click on where you're going to have these tablets stored. Once you do that, you're going to want to make sure that you whitelist the tablet so that it only pulls that tablet and nothing else. So now that this is done, we could go ahead and put this in here, and then we could start working on the activator modules. Now we have 2 activator modules because 1, we need the tablet to be right clicked onto the Ritual Brazier, and then the other one right clicks this again to activate the ritual. So what you want to do is you want to open up one of the activator modules, change this to whitelist, and put the tablet in here. Now depending on where your Ritual Brazier is, you're going to want to have it set up here correctly. So like mine is on top, so I'm going to have this look up. And then the action is right click, and that's it. So this activator module is done. So we could go ahead and put this in here. Now for the second activator module, super simple. Only thing that you have to really change is just the position of where your Ritual Brazier is, and then that is done. And then what I like to do, and for some reason it just makes it work even better, is I put it at the very end. Now for the modular router itself, you want to make sure that you have it on redstone mode pulsed. Matter of fact, it is going off right now, and you could see that it's going from night to day extremely quickly. Now that we have the modular router set up, we could start working on the integrated dynamics portion of this. You're going to need a logic programmer, a variable store, some variable cards, a world reader, redstone writer, and a logic cable. So what I like to do is I'll put the logic programmer down. You don't need to keep this out. I just use this so that we could program these cards correctly. Now the one that does stay is the variable store. We want to make sure that we have that here. The redstone writer going into the modular router, the logic cable, and then the world reader just sits right on top just like that. Pretty much this is how the setup is going to look, and it's almost done. So in the world reader, what you want to do is you want to scroll until you see is day, and then you're going to want to put a card there. That will give you a variable card with the aspect of is day. Now we're done with that. We want to come over to the logic programmer and find where it says Boolean, and we want to make sure that this is not checked. It needs to be unchecked. It gives the variable card a value of false. If it's checked, it will give it a value of true for this case. So now that we have is day and false set up, we could come back in here and find equals equals. This will allow it to set up a variable card for is day equals false to send a red zone signal. Now, once that is complete, you're going to put these two variable cards in the store. That will allow the system to always see it. And then in the redstone writer, you're going to put this other variable card that we just created. And if everything is good and the system is happy, it will give you a green check mark. And look at that, green check mark. So now that this system is fully done, if it becomes nighttime and it has not activated, what I highly recommend doing is coming to the modular router and making sure that this buffer is empty. It needs to be empty for this to work properly. If there's anything in here, even a tablet, it will not work. So now that is done, we could start working on the other side. This is for any time it rains or if there's a thunderstorm, it will go ahead and activate and it will clear everything up. So just like last time, we're going to start with the modular router and the ritual brazier right on top. We're going to make sure that the modular router is set to pulsed. And then just like the other one, we're going to make sure that we use the Polar Mark II and shift right click on the barrel so that it sees it and it could pull from it. And then we're going to whitelist the cloud shaping card in this one. So this one is now fully done. We're going to do the same thing that we did to that modular router and the activator modules to this one. Whitelist, we're going to have it look up and action is right click. So this one is done. So we could go ahead and put that in here. And this one is just to look up and we'll put it all the way at the end, just like the other one. So now we could set up the integrated dynamic side of things. So variable store goes down. Redstone writer goes in here. Logic cable with a world reader sitting right on top, just like on the other side. For this one, you're going to want to find where it says weather rain and you put a variable card there. So we're done with that. And then we could come back over here to the logic programmer and you're going to again find Boolean, and this time you're going to actually check this box and put it in a card because we want the value to be true. And then same thing, you're going to do equals equals and we're going to say weather rain equals true, send red zone signal, and that will activate this modular router anytime it rains or thunderstorms. So we're going to put these two cards in the variable store, and then we're going to put this variable card in the redstone writer. And again, we have the green check mark, which means the system is happy and this is now good to go. So just like that, we now have always day and always clear automated for your world.
Can't tell you how many times I've been totally annoyed by trying to build and it starts raining or it's nighttime and it's hard to see. All of that stuff that you guys bully me about on stream. I saw Cryptex do this in his world and I cannot tell you how cool I think it is. All of his socials are going to be linked down in the description. He's posting some amazing content, so go show him some love. All right, so we can find the ancient city. We talked about portals. We talked about how to keep it always day and always clear. Next up, let's take a look at Drygmy farms. Now, Drygmies are, in my opinion, one of the most underutilized ways to farm mobs in All the Mods 10. All you're really going to do for this setup is have some source nearby. You're going to want to set a chest down, and then around this chest, we're going to build some walls of glass. This part is semi-optional, but does make it a lot easier to keep the Drygmies where they're supposed to be. Now, around this glass, we're going to take some cobblestone on top of the chest and put it right in there. Then, in order to actually activate this and get some Drygmies to spawn inside of there, you're going to need some Drygmy charms. One will work, it'll spawn you a single Drygmy and will function the way it's supposed to. However, the more you have, the faster it'll create resources. So in order to create one of these Drygmy charms, you are going to need to create an enchantment apparatus, but None of the items in here are particularly expensive. You're looking at basically any type of fish, some wheat, an apple, carrot, any type of seeds, and then 3 source gems. In addition to those items around the outside, you will also need a Drygmy token. Drygmy token is not hard to get. It looks like this, and you get it by finding a Drygmy out in the wild and tossing a Wilden horn to him. He'll pick it up, he'll look at it, he'll do a little funny dance, and then he'll give you a Drygmy token. So create yourself some Drygmy charms, and then come over to the mossy cobblestone that you put inside of here, and right-click it. You'll see it'll start pulling some stuff in, and after a little bit, it changes to a Drygmy henge. Now this Drygmy henge is looking for any mobs that are in containment jars around it so that it can basically pretend like they're killing it, and then it's going to put all of those resources into the chest underneath. Now the concept of this is not inherently difficult. Basically what you're going to do is just capture a mob. All right, now in order to get this to work, you're going to put a ritual brazier down. You're going to put a containment jar next to it. I think on your first use, you don't need to continue to add source, but if you want to continue to use it, you do need source. So we're just going to go ahead and add a source jar nearby. Then we're going to find something we want to spawn and capture. So we're going to do a blaze. So in order for this to work correctly, we're going to start this off the rip. We're going to start it, we're going to activate it, then we're going to spawn the blaze in. And as you can see, it picks it up and it throws it into this jar right here. Now, if I wanted to capture a second one, I have to have the source nearby. Otherwise, this one would say awaiting source. You can throw another one in there, and it should pick it up, and it'll put it in the blaze containment jars. As you can see, it's got the little blaze in it. All we're going to do is we're going to take it over here to our Drygmy henge. So set it nearby. We'll put a couple of them down just for the sake of doing it. You'll see this guy starts dancing. There's also going to be some particles that'll fly around as it pulls some of this stuff in, and then it should start putting blaze rods in down here. Now, there's a couple things that we can do to speed this up. I don't know if I'm wanting it really does much, but the more different mobs that you have around, so the more different entities that you have around here, as well as the more Drygmies you have inside, the more items you're going to get in that chest. So for instance, if I were to take a whole bunch more of these Drygmy charms, we use them on the Drygmy henge, it'll spawn a whole bunch more of these Drygmies in here, which is what we want it to do. Each one of those starts re-rolling the loot tables for the items outside, or for the entities outside, which means that pretty quickly here, we should start getting a whole lot more of those blaze rods in. But again, the more different mobs you have around the outside, and the more Drygmies you have on the inside, the faster you'll get items in here. Geez, okay, finally. So it'll start putting any of the drops in there for these entities out here. You can see we got 3 blaze rods, some molten cores, and some experience gems. So it does start putting some stuff in there. I'm starting to worry that they may change that a little bit, but it seems like it's still functioning correctly. All right, finally, tip number 5 is scrying. Now I find myself using this at my own base more than anything, just trying to figure out where I ended up putting stuff. But scrying is an incredibly useful thing that you can also use for giving you effectively sight potions. To utilize this, make sure you got a ritual brazier down, you have a source jar nearby, you're going to use a tablet of scrying on it, you're going to throw whatever item you're looking for, so in this case an oak button, and you'll see it's now awaiting activation. You got one item in there for the oak button, and that item is consumed, so we right click this and it'll start running. Now there are going to be a lot of particles that fall down, but basically it is searching the world for anywhere where there's an oak button, and it will highlight all of those locations for me. So there it goes. It went off. It's done. And you'll notice that there are 3 little burning flames over here. That's because I had went ahead and put 3 little buttons over here. So scrying is an incredibly useful tool that you can do to help find any blocks that you're missing or that you think may be in your base or not in your base, or even to find ores that you're looking for in the mining dimension. So I highly recommend using this and utilizing it because it is a very cool mechanic to have. Check on the Drygmies once more. We're up at 10 blaze rods, a molten core, and 9 experience gems. So it is generating stuff. And especially when you're talking about the cataclysm mobs, specifically the cataclysm bosses, you don't really need a whole ton of their drops. Even if you're trying to make the starry bee, you really only need 18 of each of the items. So even at a very slow pace like this with just one entity type, it's running pretty slow, but we're still getting all of the items we would want. So there you go. Those are certainly the 5 things I wish I knew about Ars prior to starting the last several of my playthroughs, because they would have made them a lot easier and go a lot quicker. Hopefully you were able to learn something. If there's something that I said that was incorrect or could have been done better, please feel free to leave those in the comment section down below. Or tell me your favorite thing about Ars that you think I missed in this video that other people should know. Anywho, that's it for this video. Don't forget, you're special, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Bye.